welcome to another edition of the Mott's West podcast. And of course, I'm your host, Mott. What's up from the West Side? Uh, just wanted to kind of bring you guys up to date. I know there hasn't been an episode in quite some time. Just been dealing with a few issues. Dead, dead laptop, main one. I spent a little over a month trying to see if it could be saved, but it wasn't. Luckily, we were able to replace it, and we were able to recover most of the files, so that's a good thing. Also had some uh, traveling issues that I had to deal with also. And the main thing was I wanted to have a YouTube component of the podcast so that you can also not only hear it but see it as well, because that makes for better views. So, and I think I figured out what was going on, why I wasn't able to get the episodes on YouTube and letting you guys just kind of come behind the curtains. I like to do my shows with music, background sounds, and voices and all that, but I think that YouTube didn't like that and maybe caught on to that. So for the YouTube episodes at least, for what you're seeing now, they will have, it'll just be my voice talking. It'll just be me. And then for the Buzzsprout episodes, they will be fully produced with the background music and the drops and everything that everybody's used to. And also, we're going to have, of course, the special guest editions. Those haven't gone away. So we'll have those from time to time. But until then, it'll be back to the same format. So if, like I said, if you're going to go to the Buzzsprout, it'll be fully produced with the background music, the intro, everything. On the YouTube, I'm just going to play it safe. It's just going to be me and my lovely voice, which I know everybody loves to hear. Shout out to all 5 of my followers and subscribers. So anyway, with that being said, let's get right into our top news. So our top news this week is that the WWE has unveiled a new heavyweight title. So it's now draft season, and so it's after every WrestleMania in WWE, they have 2 major shows, Raw on Mondays, SmackDown on Fridays, and so they've divided the roster in half. Half the roster's on Raw, half the roster's on SmackDown. And every year after WrestleMania, they always have a quote-unquote draft. So where basically the wrestlers or superstars get picked to be on separate brands. Well, if you have been under a rock or in a coma for the last couple of years since COVID, Roman Reigns has been the champion, and each brand is supposed to have their own champion, but Roman Reigns managed to actually win both titles from both brands. So he essentially has both belts, and to remedy that, they are just putting a new title out there, which doesn't sound right, but I guess that's what they're doing. At least for me, I mean, the belt looks nice. It's actually reminiscent of the old NWA heavyweight title that Ric Flair used to have, the famous belt that he used to have, and it looks kind of like that in that shape. So it's a nice looking belt, but I thought it was called just Beat Roman. If not for both, at least one of them. So, I mean, Roman has 2 belts. He has the Universal title. He has the WWE World Heavyweight title. The Universal title is actually the, I guess, the bloodline, so to speak, or the child of the old Ric Flair belt. So basically, the Universal Champion, whoever has that, they're in the long line of WCW champions, NWA champions like Ric Flair, Harley Race, Sting, Lex Luger, Ron Simmons, all of those champions. You're in that lineage of course, The Rock held it for a while. The first Universal Champion, once the belt was changed, was of course Finn Balor, and later on Kevin Owens. So um, I guess are we just gonna lose that whole lineage of champions now? That's kind of what it seems like. So to me, there's pros and cons. It's a nice looking belt. There is once again a championship on both brands because basically Roman, whatever brand he gets drafted to, he's going to stay on that brand and defend the belt only on that brand. And the brand that he doesn't go to is going to get the new championship title, which will be decided at the upcoming Clash of Champions in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. We'll get back to that in a minute. So, like I said, pros, nice looking belt. There's championships on both shows now. But two, really, you should have just. It's called just beating Roman for either one or both of the belts. So, what are you going to do when you get, let's say, a champion that wins the new heavyweight title and nobody can beat him? Are you just going to keep inventing new championships for people to win? It's almost like a consolation prize. It's none of us can beat Roman, so here's the belt that we can win. What if, and then, okay, let's say, what if Roman wins that belt? What if somehow Roman, who in the WWE world has Paul Heyman, who is a phenomenal negotiator, finagles his way into winning all three belts? What are you going to do then? So I got a lot of beef, a lot of problems with that. But like I said, the con is it's a nice, new, shiny, different looking belt. So there you go. So with that being said, that title is not yet living its best week. But let's see, out of the shows of the week, who is living their best week. Now, like I said, normally I like to have music and the sounds playing under me because it makes the show more fun. It actually gives me more energy, and it's less work that I have to do in editing. I could just record a show, put it right up, and it's ready to go. But so like I said, for the YouTube version of the show, it's just going to be me talking. So this is a segment that I call Living Your Best Week. Basically, there's wrestling on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. All of them are different shows from different promotions. Some of them from the same promotions because they have more than one show. But there's wrestling on every night of the week. So we're going to go through the shows, and at the end, I'm going to tell you which show is living its best week. So on Monday, you have Monday Night Raw, which is where the new title was introduced by Triple H. And also in the main event, you had Damian Priest versus Rey Mysterio. And at the upcoming event next Saturday, a week from today, is Clash of the Champions, which, I'm sorry, it's Backlash. And it's going to be held in Puerto Rico. The host is, or was supposed to be, Bad Bunny. That is until the Raw after WrestleMania. Bad Bunny kind of got into it with his former friend Damian Priest, and he was taken off in an ambulance, but came back to Raw this week to challenge Damian Priest to a match at Backlash. So instead of hosting it, Bad Bunny is going to kick the living crap out of Damian Priest. And believe me, Bad Bunny is a good wrestler. He can go in the ring. If you didn't see it, the last WrestleMania, he was great. So Bad Bunny can go. So Tuesday, we don't really talk about it. It's NXT. It's the Rookie League. Nothing's happening over there. So we're going to skip Tuesday, go right to Wednesday Dynamite, where there has been an ongoing tournament between what they call the four pillars of AEW. The four pillars are, of course, the champion, MJF, Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Jungle Boy Jack Perry, son of, if you remember the show, Beverly Hills 90210, Luke Perry. That is his son, and his son is a damn good wrestler. So they're considered the four pillars of AEW because when Cody started the company, those were the original stars that came up from, well, I guess graduated from the indies that were going to be part of the main foundation of AEW, those four guys. So now they're doing this thing where, as those four are all competing for MJF's title because they're kind of like the four, the four pillars or the four original guys that are supposed to be the next generation of superstar wrestling talent. So they organized a tournament between the four. Of course, that would mean that Darby Allin, Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, and Sammy Guevara would have to fight each other. So you can't have, since there's three men, there was an odd man out. So one of the guys got a bye last week, and that was Darby Allin. So last week it was Sammy Guevara versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry, and MJF decided that he was going to help Sammy Guevara win, and in return he was going to pay Sammy Guevara off so that if Sammy Guevara does beat Jack Perry, which he did a week ago, and beats Darby Allin this week, then Sammy Guevara would, at Double or Nothing, which would be the match for the title versus MJF on May 28th in Las Vegas, which yours truly may be attending, Sammy would just lay down for MJF, and MJF would go off with the title. So in the main event of Dynamite, it was Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara. And as promised, MJF interfered in the match, helped Sammy Guevara win. And so the match was all set. The main event for Double or Nothing, May 28th in Las Vegas, Nevada, Sammy Guevara versus MJF for the AEW World title, where Sammy would lay down and just let MJF pin him, and Sammy would take the payday, and they would just be best friends. But at the end of the show, Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone, who absolutely hates MJF's guts, got a little bit of revenge on the salt of the earth. He was informed that because of MJF's actions in interfering in the tournament, next week on Dynamite, there's going to be a tag team match. Darby Allin and Jungle Boy versus Sammy Guevara and MJF. If Sammy and MJF win the match, then the main event at Double or Nothing stays as is, unchanged. But if Jungle Boy and Darby Allin win, then the match at Double or Nothing definitely becomes unchained because it will be a fatal four-way where all four pillars will compete in the main event at Double or Nothing for the AEW World title held by MJF, which I love that idea, which should have been the idea from the first place, but I like how they built it up, and that's what I think it's going to end up happening. So on Impact, coming off of their Rebellion pay-per-view, which was 2 weekends ago, both the Impact World Champion and Knockouts Champions both had to vacate the titles due to injuries. The Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander, and you may know Hardcore Country, Mickie James, both had to give up their titles, meaning that at Rebellion 2 weekends ago, new champions would be crowned. The Impact World Heavyweight Champion is now Steve Maclin, who beat Kushida, and you have Knockouts Champion Deonna Purrazzo, who beat Juggernaut, Jordan Grace. I'm sorry, the names, I'm just getting little brain farts here. So, your new champions, basically, the show was just kind of Impact this week on Thursdays, just was kind of setting up the upcoming Under Siege pay-per-view on May 26th, where Maclin is going to be defending his title against PCO. And if you don't know about PCO, he's like they call him the French-Canadian Frankenstein, who he's this big, massive boulder of a man who just jumps off of anything, lands anyway, and seems to never get hurt. This guy is literally a Frankenstein's monster. He's going to be facing PO in the main event of Under Siege. The main event was Deonna Purrazzo actually defending her title against Taylor Wilde, who is now an evil witch. She used to be a referee turned wrestler, and she was all good and wholesome, and now she's a witch and evil. So Taylor Wilde has a tag team partner who, after the match that Deonna Purrazzo won, jumped Deonna, and Jordan Grace, who she faced at Rebellion, came in to save her. So I guess they're now friends. So that was Impact Wrestling in a nutshell. On Friday, you have two shows. You have AEW's Rampage and WWE SmackDown. So let's hit up Rampage first. So I like to call Rampage Saturday night's main event light, because basically the formula of the show, it's only an hour, and they put the real, like Saturday night's main event used to do, they put the real main event first, and then they put kind of like a okay, kind of heavy duty match last. But the real action is always in the first match and not the so-called main event. So the first match was one of my favorites. Bullet Club's Jay White and Rock Hard Juice Robinson took on Ricky Starks and Shawn Spears, who was formerly known as the Perfect 10 in WWE. So I guess they're starting a feud with Ricky Starks and Shawn Spears. So Jay White is the former leader of the Bullet Club in Japan. I would say he was the last leader. He just showed up in AEW a week ago, rejoined with fellow Bullet Club member Rock Hard Juice Robinson, and the two of them are now going as Bullet Club Gold. We don't know if this is going to be separate from the original Bullet Club in Japan, only because he was, I don't know how to explain it, Jay White. So the way you leave Japan as a leader of the Bullet Club is you kind of get jumped out of the Bullet Club, like a gang. You get jumped out. Jay White wasn't necessarily jumped out by the Bullet Club, but he was kind of sucker punched out, I guess, by David Finlay, who is the former partner of Juice Robinson, Rock Hard Juice Robinson, and who is now apparently the new leader of Bullet Club in Japan, which is just, it came out of nowhere. He had no ties to Bullet Club whatsoever, and as a matter of fact, Rock Hard Juice Robinson turned on him a few months back, maybe like 6 months back, to become part of the Bullet Club. So I don't get where that's coming from, but anyway, that's what you have there. And the main event, quote unquote, was Jay Lethal versus one of the FTR, Cash Wheeler. I don't know. I really don't like them. They still suck to me, but they're AEW Tag Team Champions again. The main event is kind of stupid because you have FTR fighting with the, I guess, foursome of Satnam Singh, Sanjay Dutt, Jay Lethal, and Jeff Jarrett to see who is going to be the best friend of Mark Briscoe, which is, I don't know. So they're fighting over, the four of them in FTR are fighting over Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe was the special enforcer in the match. Mark Briscoe tried to get involved to even things up, but as soon as he and the referee had their back turned, of course Sanjay Dutt interfered, and Lethal won the match. So that was Rampage. Then we get to WWE SmackDown, which is night one of the draft. But some notable things that happened before we get into the draft. The OC, which are AJ Styles, Doc Gallows, and Carl Anderson, and now with Mia Yim, they returned on SmackDown, which was nice to see. They've been out of action for months now, and it was nice to see them back all together, throwing up that too sweet. And they kind of they just got into a little scrap with the Viking Raiders, left them laying, and so they just kind of announced their return, which they got drafted to SmackDown. They were on Raw before, so they are now going to be on Friday Night SmackDown, so that's cool. In the main event, it was a WrestleMania rematch. It was the Usos trying to win their titles back from Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Kevin Owens and Sami ended up beating the Usos. So now we don't know the Usos standing with the Tribal Chief and the Bloodline as a whole. Because the first pick of the draft, well, before we go there, let's just say at the beginning of the show, the Usos came out and openly talked about how they've been trying to call Roman, text him, reach out to him, and they haven't gotten anything. It's been total radio silence from Roman. Roman has ghosted the Usos basically since week after WrestleMania. So, with the first pick of the draft, SmackDown chose the advisor Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, and Roman Reigns as the Bloodline to SmackDown. Notice that didn't include Jimmy and Jey Uso. The second pick, Raw, chose the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, who will be going up against Brock Lesnar in the main event of Backlash a week from today, which I am very interested to see, only because I was at WrestleMania and Cody did lose to Roman Reigns, and then the very next night got the crap beat out of him by Brock Lesnar. And so now it's like, not only does Cody not get a rematch for the title, he got beat up and basically screwed and jumped by Brock Lesnar. I mean, Cody was literally being assaulted. Brock should have been arrested for beating somebody that bad. So now it's like it seems like Cody has no way back to the title shot because he now has to deal with the Beast. But if you remember, this happened about 11 years ago between The Rock and John Cena. WrestleMania 29, I want to say, or WrestleMania 19, WrestleMania, well, anyway, it was about 11 years ago, no, it was WrestleMania 29, I want to say, WrestleMania 28 or 29. It was The Rock versus John Cena, and The Rock was the world champion, beat John Cena. The next night, on Raw, Brock Lesnar showed up, beat John Cena down, and they had a match at Backlash. John Cena beat Brock Lesnar and went back to have a rematch that very next WrestleMania with The Rock and beat The Rock for the title. I think they're doing the same thing with Cody. I think they suckered us all out of our money at WrestleMania 40 only to have it be what they call a slow burn. You know eventually that Cody's going to win the title, but he's not going to do it when you think. He is going to look like he's all out of options, all out of opportunities, and then at the last minute, he's going to get booked at WrestleMania to finally beat Roman, and he just has to go through Brock Lesnar and another season of WWE pay-per-views and TV to do it. So next WrestleMania, I expect a rematch between Roman and Cody. Cody finally beating Roman Reigns for the title and finishing the story. So, I won't go over all the picks in the draft because there are quite a few, and it's going to continue on this Monday coming up. But you can check it out on WWE.com. I'm pretty sure they're going to have it. So, who is living their best week? I'm gonna have to say this week it's SmackDown. I'm gonna have to say, only because you had the OC returning, making a huge impact. Now they're gonna be on SmackDown against possibly the Bloodline. We don't know where that's gonna go or how that's gonna turn out. Also, you had, of course, the first night of the draft where things got shaken up. Also, you had the main event where we don't know the future of the Bloodline. We don't know if the Usos are going to be back in the Bloodline, if they're going to be on their own. Hell, we don't even know what show they're going to be on as of right now. They weren't drafted. So that's why, SmackDown, you're living your best week. And now, after the break, we're going to get into Mott's Sports West.